I'll say 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the Licensing and Regulatory Committee. I think that John would like to just say a few words about the chat bar before we start. I'll pass over to John now.
Yeah, just a quick reminder to members to make sure you've got the chat bar open during the meeting, please. Use the raise hand app within it and click the raise hand button if you do wish to speak on a particular item, and we'll be putting that in there now for you. And if we do need to vote, the voting will be done in there as well.
I've got difficulty with that, John. I just got the chat bar at the bottom of the screen, not on the side.
That'll still be fine. You should still be able to see it, Ruth.
I can't see the raised hand on that.
All right, I'll give you a call now.
Oh, okay. Anyway, we'll start the meeting first of all with apologies for absence. I've got one from Councillor Linda Guppy. I don't know if anyone else has had any apologies. No? Okay. Declarations of interest as and when. And then we go on to item 3, which is the proposal for taxi and private hire policy and conditions amendment to include tuk-tuks and rickshaw licensing. And I think Linda O'Gorman is going to lead us on that. Linda.
Morning all. An application has been put forward to licensing for a tuk-tuk. We've had nothing actually in our current policy and taxi and private hire licensing regime to include sort of novelty vehicles of this nature. The report today is to look at the policy for tuk-tuks and rickshaws as a whole, so that if we get any further applications that we are able to accommodate it within our policy itself. So with that in mind, you've got the tuk-tuks, which is predominantly slightly larger, and the rickshaws, which are smaller. The intention of the report, of 3.2 of the report, is that in essence that they would be licensed under the private hire regime. So it would mean they would have to be pre-booked and it'd be used for sort of special occasions. However, for ones that are non-motorized, this isn't possible due to the legislation. So that is under section 48 of the Local Government Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1976, where it has to be motorized. So with that in mind, if you had a cycle rickshaw, a pedicab in effect, you would have to have it licensed under the hackney carriage sort of element of licensing. So with that, things that needs to be considered when introducing a policy is the safety of the said vehicles in question. With normal vehicles, in 3.6 of the report, with a normal sort of everyday sort of licensed vehicle, they would have all manner of safety features like passenger airbags, crumple zones, anti-lock braking systems, etc. This obviously can't be the case for tuk-tuks and rickshaws. So in 3.7, we've actually sort of quoted what we would like to do to the policy itself. The current policy is to remove the brief paragraph that was in Appendix J on the initial policy, which only briefly referred to tuk-tuks, and actually put a whole realm of sort of new policy and conditions within it. And that would be incorporated in Appendix M, and it would be from 66 to item number 92 of that policy amendments in red, which would list all manner of things that should be required. I won't go into them in detail because there's quite a number of sort of policy sort of elements to it, but it's trying to enable basically the safety of those when they use. One of the some of the main features, they wouldn't go over 30 miles an hour. There is a slight request for an amendment on that policy. In 83, we referred to licensed tuk-tuks and rickshaws must be fitted with passenger doors on both sides of the vehicles. Well, we know that the one that actually is going to sort of come our way, which will be brought before committee, because we have recommended in the policy that any new tuk-tuks or rickshaws, they will be brought before committee. So you would have a feel of the design and nature of that vehicle, and that will happen with the person that's obviously keen to sort of get started. That will be at a future sort of committee date as well. But one of the things they have requested is that their intention was to have 2 doors to make it safer for passengers. But the one would be fixed, and it would be sort of on the road side. So the one that'll open will be on the curb side, basically. So perhaps if we have a look at 83 of the policy that was initially raised and put the word in, licensed tuk-tuks and rickshaws must be fitted with passenger doors on both sides, with at least one door having access and egress rather than both having access and egress, because that could be a further sort of safety features. If they got both, then it wouldn't matter, but if they got the one with the intention of one being sort of sealed so that people can't go into the roadside, that would be another safety sort of feature, really. So that's the only slight amendment to the policy that's been put forward today. Like I said, there's a number of things in there with regards to how fast the vehicle can go, with regards to roof coverings, with matting, to have any wheels or anything sort of covered. So there's a number of elements to make a safe journey for passengers if they are to be used. So that's the report today, a quick summary of it. So it's put it to members if they wish to approve the policy and the changes, with a recommendation that 83 be slightly amended to have at least one door access and egress. So I'll put it to members for the vote, basically.
Thank you very much, Linda. I think Jim has got his hand up to ask a question. Jim Higginson.
As you know, as I stated earlier, Richard Roden and myself went on the. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Richard Roden and myself went on the trial run, and we picked the tuk-tuk up in Llanfoist, and they took us around part of Abergavenny. And yeah, Linda mentioned about the door on the side, and I go along with all that. I expect Richard will as well, but that's the matter for Richard. And we thought on a local basis it'd be ideal, because we know that they are using them in other parts of the country, not all parts, but some of the parts of the country. We saw nothing. Well, Richard will speak for himself, obviously, but we thought that there was nothing wrong with them on a local basis. Like we picked it up at Llanfoist. We went into Abergavenny, around Abergavenny, and back to Llanfoist, and we saw nothing wrong with that. Like I say, Richard will have a, he will say whatever he wants to on it, but I thought it was acceptable. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Next to speak is Richard Roden.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to echo Jim's thoughts. It was a pleasant experience. The vehicle itself appeared to be stable and suitable for use. I quite enjoyed the experience, actually, and I think that's what it's all about with something like this. It's a different mode of transport from what we're normally using, and I think it's a fine and sensible policy put forward by our officers. I just have one question, and that is, in terms of dress code, the suggestion is formal wear. I just wondered what would be formal wear for a tuk-tuk driver. I would think appropriate wear might be a better choice of words, perhaps.
Linda?
Yes, I'm happy to respond to that. It is appropriate sort of way in the main sort of body of the licensing policy itself. So we could look at the wording on that and just to have it key it into what is in the rest of the policy, because it is a difficult what is appropriate, really, and there's all manner of things that we have to look at. Religion, various other things, what is people can or can't wear. So I think it's as long as it's sort of appropriate and sort of well dressed, you know, and it's reasonable. Yes, we could sort of alter the wording to key in with what is worded into the main body of the policy itself.
Thank you,
Okay, thank you
Linda.
very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Richard. Ruth Edwards next. Ruth?
Sorry, I'm taking all this. As I said, I haven't seen the detailed report, but I've got every confidence in saying of those that have had experience of it, and by the discussion and the report, I think it's a very good thing. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ruth. Tony, you've raised your hand. Tony Easton.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Could Linda explain a little bit more? I had to follow the entrance and egress of the vehicle. I couldn't go on the trip to see them, but you suggest that one side the passengers can't get out. Is that correct? If so, would there be an emergency exit for them to get out on that side if necessary?
Okay. Yeah, I can comment on that. Basically, on 83 of the policy recommendations is that they be fitted with doors on each side, regardless anyway, for safety sort of purposes.
Right, okay.
But as you quite rightly say, you've got to have access and egress in the case of emergency. It is quite a small area. You know, it's not going to be fitted with a pile of people sort of trying to get out. It's going to be restricted to a small number of people because of the nature of the vehicle itself. But instead of having that they both have to have access and egress, we wanted to change the word into at least one have access and egress for that purpose, that people can get out quite quickly anyway. And the reason behind that is that future applications, they may want to seal the one door to stop people going out into the roadside. But if they got two, then we would accept that as well. So really and truly, you know, if we could have at least one having access and egress, but doors on either side regardless, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Tony. Anne Webb.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Linda, for that report. It's really, I think you've covered absolutely everything, to be honest with you. And with your last point, I would thoroughly agree with the door situation. Basically, 4 doors or whatever, but only 2 to open on each side, on one side, on the curb side. Yeah, I'm sure that's what you've got in mind anyway. Thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Lee Beach, you want to come in, I think? Lee?
Yeah, good morning. I just wanted to touch a bit more on the comment that Councillor Eason just mentioned. So with the tuk-tuk vehicles, they have a canvas covering. So in the event of emergency, yes, it would be easier than the normal vehicle to get out of. Plus, the doors that will be fitted, they won't be covering. They won't be from floor to ceiling of the vehicle. So again, there's room to manoeuvre and get out in the event of emergency if required. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Lee. Jamie Trehan. Jamie.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to thank officers for this report and the amendments made for the provision of tuk-tuks and our taxi fleet, if you like. I would like, hopefully this would be a success. I'm in agreement with the amendments. Hopefully this will be a success and hopefully inspire other towns around Monmouthshire to bring in tuk-tuks for their own service. I think it's unique, if you like, to this part of the world, and I just think it'll add another visual aspect and a feel-good factor to everybody, which is what we need at this time anyway. So I'm in favour of this, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. I think, Anne, you want to come back, Anne Webb?
Yes, basically, Chairman, thank you very much. I would like to move the recommendations as set out, please. Thank you.
With the alterations that Linda has said on the doors.
I agree. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. No one else wants to speak, I don't think. No. Okay. Could we have your votes, please, in favour of the recommendation with the amendment?
I'm just going to say, Chair, I second that.
Okay. Thank you. Could you vote now, please?
Where's the voting button?
Yeah, where's the voting bar?
No,
It's all in the chat bar.
it's on the chat bar, isn't it? Open the chat. I got it. Yeah.
On the chat.
On the chat bar. Yeah. Right. Okay, I got it now. I couldn't remember.
Where's the chat bar on you? David. I'm having difficulty finding this chat bar.
Touch the screen, Jim.
It'll
Yeah.
be just underneath where you click the button to raise your hand, Councillor Higginson.
Oh gosh, where are we at now?
Can you all just try and submit your votes again for me? We've only got 4 votes so far.
Well, John, even I've managed that, and that's saying something.
Yeah, I'm having difficulty as well, you have to say.
Okay,
It'll be at the
Councillor
bottom of the
Higginson,
chat bar,
4
Jim.
against.
You.
Chat bar.
Yeah, it'll be at the bottom.
Oh, the
Councillor
one-
Higginson, you 4 or against?
oh yeah, 4, yeah.
And don't forget to press submit when you voted.
Got it.
Have you got my vote, Sean? It's come back up as a request again.
6 votes, 7 votes for, so it's carried.
Yeah.
You can say 7 votes for.
Okay, well, we've got 7 votes for at the moment, so it is carried. I don't think there's anyone against in any case, so it's that will be carried. Thank you very much.
I support it. Okay.
Right, we'll go on to item 4 on the agenda. Again, it's Linda who's going to introduce this. The Gambling Act 2005, the premises licence fees. This is an annual report, I think, Linda. Anyway, perhaps you could go through it for us. Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Yes,
This report is to look at the Gambling Act premises licence fees. The actual premises licence fees covers a range of ones, which is from adult gaming centres, betting premises, track racing, and bingo premises. We have no bingo premises within this authority. However, we have the powers to set the fees in accordance with the approval of the Statement of Licensing Policy at full council on the 25th of October 2018. Now, the normal setting of gambling fees are separate to the April fees that come in due to the fact that they have to be set 21st of May each year. However, because of COVID-19, this committee did this prior to the 21st of May in order to set those fees. So this report is to set them retrospectively from that date to carry into the 20th of May of the following year. It is to look at fees for those premises licenses. There is a fee banding that we can't go above. There is a ceiling of the fees, and that is actually shown in Appendix B of the report, which shows the maximum fee allowed, what it currently is, and what the proposal is for next year. There will be no issues of setting a fee retrospectively because it really only affects new premises as such, if you look at the fee banding list that's there. So with that in mind, it's to make the recommendation of the fee following assessment of cost recovery for premises licenses only. We don't have the power to set fees for the likes of sort of one-arm bandits and sort of gaming machines. We only have the power to set for premises license. So the recommendation is to approve the fees from 21st of May 2020.
Thank you, Linda, very much. Does anyone want to speak on this item? I haven't got any names yet. No?
Chair, I think we should accept the report and all agree it.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Welcome to the meeting. I didn't know you were there. It's nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Yeah, if you've got a seconder.
I'll second
I
that.
second it, Chairman.
Okay. Oh, sorry, Richard Roden, you'd like to speak on it?
Thank you, Chair. I was just going to say I second that. So.
Okay. We've got 3 seconders. I think the first one in was Tony.
I was a bit slow on the second. Yeah.
We've got a voter and a seconder. Could you all vote now, please? Okay, thanks. Right, should be there now. Yep. We already got 7 votes, 8. Yeah. Okay, thank you all very much. That's carried. Thank you, Linda, for taking us through both reports. Thank you. Okay, we'll go on now to item 5, the minutes of the Licensing and Regulatory Committee of the 14th of January.
Chair, can we take them as read, please?
Okay, you happy with that, members?
Yeah, second that.
Yes.
Okay, that's for 5.1 and 5.2.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, if you could just show, please. Oh, okay, okay. Thank you. Yeah, that's carried. We haven't got a date for the next meeting, but that will come out in due course. But could I thank you all very much for taking part in the meeting this morning. I was going to say I've got some grey hair now, but I had to. Anyway, thank you all very much.
Sorry, Chair, can I just make one point? That yes. Is I need to abstain from the last vote. I've been trying to find the vote on the chat bar, but I couldn't find it. But I'm abstaining, okay? Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Right, I declare the meeting closed. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.